Chef David Kinch has enjoyed quite the culinary career, and he has the prizes to prove it. Named one of the best chefs in America Pacific by the James Beard Foundation, and Chef of the Year by GQ magazine.
He performs his kitchen magic in Los Gatos, California, south of San Jose, where his restaurant Manresa has received 2 Michelin stars for 8 years running and was named a Best New Restaurant of the Decade by Zagat. So we are delighted to welcome Chef David Kinch to the dish. David, good morning.
Thank you.
Another congratulations, because your book Manresa just hit the New York Times bestseller list.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
So you're having a pretty good time here.
Yeah, we're in a roll right now.
Tell us what we have in front of us, this beautiful meal.
Some simple recipes. Some are in the book. Some are just things that we put together. We have some shrimp with apple brandy, a sweet potato gratin, cabbage, apple, and chestnut salad, which is perfect for this time of the year, and kale with pine nuts and raisins.
Wow, this looks great. Now, you grew up, tell me about where you grew up. You grew up in...
I was born in Philadelphia, but I grew up in New Orleans, which is kind of where I caught the restaurant and cooking bug.
Because you were like in a restaurant like when you were 16? It was early on.
Started early, fell in love with the industry and the whole culture of restaurants and cooking. Growing up in New Orleans, which of course is a really vibrant scene. I was in New York for a good part of the 1980s working, but I gravitated to California, and I've been there ever since.
So how is the California scene different? What have you noticed that's different about diners?
Well, in terms of diners, you know, it's sophisticated clientele. People, you know, it's wine country. Great ingredients. We get great ingredients 12 months out of the year, which is a big part of what we do, what we emphasize at the restaurant. It's a great reason to be in the industry out there.
You have this unique partnership with something called Love Apple Farms.
That's correct.
And what's that all about?
Love Apple Farms is a small farm with a woman named Cynthia Sandberg. We started a relationship with them about 7, 8 years ago, and they supply all the produce for the restaurant. 12 months out of the year, grow just specifically and exclusively for us at the restaurant.
It's fascinating to hear your dedication to ingredients, because when you say you make things, I mean, you made the butter in this shrimp dish. I mean, how does that influence the kind of food that you like to put out and the kind of food we see in the book?
Well, I think any chef of any kind of worth their salt will tell you that great cooking always begins with the base products, what you start with. We can't change the laws of physics. We can't take mediocre product and make it taste the best it can possibly be.
We mentioned your new cookbook, Manresa, is on the bestseller list. Tell us about this project. What were you going after here?
Well, we wanted to be a little bit more than a cookbook. We wanted to be the story of the restaurant. We're about 12 years old now. We like to think of it as telling our story through narrative, photographs, and also some great recipes.
It's a beautiful book.
Thank you.
It really is. I mean, it looks like some pieces of art are in there, because there's one picture of an omelet, and it honestly looks like a tiny piece of art. In reading your background, though, it says that you think of the market as moving towards more Asian, more Japanese types of food. Is that the future, you think?
Well, I think, you know, we always, you know, in fine dining, we always look towards Europe more than anything else. But I think Asia is really coming into play, especially in California. We're part of the Pacific Rim. I think one of the great things about Asian cooking is, too, that they tend to use a lot less fat. And I think, of course, that is much more appealing nowadays to people's diets.
Now, you talked about migrating to California. I gather you're a surfer, too, right?
Yeah, I like to be in the water. I like being near the water. I live in Santa Cruz, which is right on the water.
One of the other things I really took away from the book was the importance of measuring, which I think a lot of home cooks, because I think it's interesting, one of your philosophies is don't try to reproduce something exactly. Give it your own flavor. Test it out on your own. Cooking's
a very personal act, but in terms of like trying to tell people how to make dishes, writing recipes, with a lot of chef books, people want to know how professionals do it. What is the little tidbit that they can get that's professional use that I can use in our home kitchen? And what we do in restaurant kitchens is we measure things. We weigh things out instead of using imperial cup measurements. And I think if people give it a try, I think they'll find it's easier, it's cleaner, it's more efficient, and it's more organized. And a digital scale costs $10, $15 nowadays. Right. It's not a big investment.
You said you caught the restaurant bug early. And you didn't say cooking bug, you said the restaurant bug. What was it about restaurants that you love so much?
Well, I started working after school, you know, flexible hours, that sort of thing. And it was easy pocket money, you know, being a teenager and everything like that. But I gravitated towards the cooks. They were working with fire. They were being creative. They were working with their hands. And because I was working in the dining room at the time, I saw the reaction to their efforts that they were making, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Well, as I hand you the dish to put your signature on, we need to ask you if you could share this dish with anyone, who would it be?
Family and friends. I mean, cooking is, you know, it's It's about sharing, it's about being generous, and it's nice cooking for the public. But on days off, you know, when we cook simpler food like we have out here, it's always great to have family and friends around.
Chef David Kinch, thank you so much for
My
joining
pleasure.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And for more on the dish, you can head to our website at cbsnews.com/CBS This Morning.